So we are back in the garden, and today it is vegetable day. So the first of our seeds have now grown to a point where we have pricked them out, grown them on, and now they can be planted out. So although Joey is now putting his ball in between them all, there they are. So what we have 3 courgettes, just standard green courgettes. And we've got half a dozen sugar snap peas and normal early peas as well. And to be honest with you, they do actually look extremely similar. So I've got them grouped at the moment so I know which are which. These are to go into our small vegetable bed, which is in front of us here. I just had a weed through, pulled out a few bits and bobs that was in there. So the area, I've added compost and manure already. So Joey, hang on a moment, go and get that. So yeah, the compost and manure was added quite a long time ago, so it's in the soil ready, so we don't need to do too much preparation now for the soil. It's just a matter of planting these up against our canes. Now we've got 8 canes and we've got about 12 plants, so we'll space them so that some of the, probably in the middle, there'll be 2 plants on each cane and 1 on the outsides. The canes are about 6 foot tall. And there they are, and hopefully they should be shielded by the fact we've got the greenhouse glass there and the wall there, so the sun also goes overhead and sets roughly up in that corner straight over there, which means they should get sun near enough all afternoon. Very important though with these that they must be watered, because if they dry out, that's when you start getting problems. So these Bruce, who lives here, will be giving his instructions today to make sure these are watered every single evening, and if it's very hot, possibly in the morning as well. Now, just to show you something else, these little pots are interesting. These are fully compostable pots. I think these are the 5 centimetre ones, but they're ideal for pricking on seedlings into the next stage of growth, rather than putting them into, effectively, one of these, which is a plastic pot. Because with the plastic pot, you have to take the whole thing out of the pot. Whereas obviously with the compostable pots, they go straight in the ground, and then they compost away. So by the end of the season, when you dig it all over, there shouldn't really be any evidence of it. And if there is, you can pick the last few bits out. But I think they're just made of paper, some kind of wood product. So that's what we're doing today. We haven't got as far as the greenhouse yet. The cucumbers and tomatoes are still at the very young stage of being in their trays, so they're not pricked out. And in fact, they're not here, they're in my other greenhouse. What we do have is, as I showed you last week, the remaining foxgloves and things that we found that were scattered around different parts of the house here. So these will be going in today. And the 3 ferns I showed you have actually perked up really well in their little pots, and we're going to place those in the shadiest corner of the garden, because as we all know, ferns don't like too much sun. They're like a cool, damp, shady area. And although it sounds a bit silly, because at the moment that chair is actually in full sunshine, behind that wall along there you can see there was a little bit of shade, and along that wall is probably the shadiest part of this garden for most of the time. So those 2 will go over there just to break up that area, which, as you can see, is a bit of a barren corner really. One last thing for today. Yesterday some phormiums were rescued from another garden. I think there's three small ones there, and a couple of small pieces of hypericum. Hypericum is also known as St. John's wort. So this is, I don't really know if having it in the garden has any positive effect on your mood, but obviously the tablets are taken as an antidepressant and a mood lifter. So I suppose having this in the garden can do no harm. It has a beautiful little yellow flower on it, and that does attract many bees. We have actually got one over here. So we've got a hypericum already in this corner, and there is another one in the middle of the garden. But yeah, that's where we are today. The garden itself is looking nice. I'll give you a quick view of all the perennials. The grasses are in. Obviously there's not been a lot of growth yet. To the gardener's eye, I can see a difference, but really until things start to really sort of double up in size and start flowering, there's not really a lot to see. Anyhow, have a great day, and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.